In today's episode, I'll be giving my review and reaction to the 2009 film Brothers. So let's dive right into Brothers. Do something, man. People are questioning you. Shut up. Shut up. Okay, yep, do that. Sure, guys. Stupid and dumb. Just an idiot. Get your shit together, son. Fuck it. I loved it. Welcome to the Dub Cast. Brothers was released on December 4th, 2009. The genre is a psychological war thriller. The runtime is an hour and 45 minutes. The budget was $26 million. The director is Jim Sheridan, which I have not seen any of his prior work. This movie stars Tobey Maguire, Jake Gyllenhaal, Natalie Portman, Sam Shepard, Clifton Collins Jr., and Mare Winningham. So, if you're new to the Dubcast, I give my overarching review, assign a score, compare that score amongst other movies we've reviewed so far in the Dubcast, and then I'll go through all of my thoughts and reactions throughout the movie as they occurred in the movie. So, starting with the overarching review, I thought this was a very emotional movie for sure. Very high level, emotional ending and climax to the movie. I thought this was a very great movie describing and displaying the effects of PTSD in Marines. Most of the scenes with Sam were absurd, just in the nature that they were probably accurate to what was happening in Afghanistan at the time of the Afghanistan war. So to see that play out in real time and like obviously in the movie and watch this character go through it was so sad, especially at the climax of that particular storyline with his companion out there. I think Tobey Maguire particularly, but also Jake Gyllenhaal and Natalie Portman all did great in their roles in this movie and had some amazing acting. I thought the concept movie was one that I thought was pretty interesting, and I did feel like that's actually what drew me into this movie. I saw a YouTube short of one of the scenes later on in the movie. I was like, oh, this looks interesting, so I added it to my list. Here we are reviewing it today. So yeah, I thought that the whole premise of the movie was pretty interesting. That's what drew me in, and also coming out of it, I thought it was also pretty interesting as well. So one thing I will say is I did feel like the relationship between Tommy and Grace was a little underdeveloped. Obviously, the only real scene we get between them is that kiss scene when they're both smoking weed. So I don't know if that was meant to be so serious or just kind of like a hey, we're both kind of high, let's kiss or whatever. I just felt like it was most of the time that Sam was gone or dead to them. They're just mostly helping each other grieve and get over this death of obviously a brother and a husband, rather than being in love. And that's just my take. I thought it was a little underdeveloped, that kind of that through line of them even potentially being romantically interested in each other, but maybe I missed some of the signs in that. I do understand the angle of Tommy basically becoming the caretaker of the family. So that probably drew some attraction. It's kind of like he is just the husband because he's there every day helping out with the kids, helping out with the stuff in the house and all that. I also thought the girl's resentment towards Sam was a little underwhelming and underdeveloped, especially because we don't really see him necessarily be mean or more strict than Tommy. I mean, obviously Tommy's kind of like not a happy-go-lucky, but he's very like, you can do whatever you want, like let's have fun, like have ice cream after 8 o'clock, whatever, I don't care type of caretaker. But we don't really see Sam's relationship with the girls be that rocky to the fact where that girl has her moment of speaking out at the dinner table. I don't think that was really developed well either, because we don't really see Sam be aggressive or harsh or anything like that to the girls. So I thought that part was a little bit. I mean, they are kids, so I'm not gonna ding it too much for that. I just thought, this little girl all of a sudden she wants to. I mean, I guess she could just imagine that, or she thought that life was better with Tommy as the dad slash caretaker. But I don't know. What are you gonna do? So overall, I thought that this movie did a great job dealing with part of being in the military that people ultimately forget. The family side, being in a military family, we see it from a parent's perspective, from the significant other perspective, sibling perspective, and also being a kid in a military family, what it's all like to have someone go off to war, and then also seemingly lose that person. Think that that person's dead, that they're gone, that they're never coming back. So I thought that seeing each character's perspective on everything and how they handled it obviously is an important fact that we kind of forget about when people die in the military or go off in the military for a long time. So the ending, although very dramatic, and then kind of flattens out to be even keeled, and he goes to the Veterans Hospital. I thought, at first I was like, that's it, but thinking about it now, I understand it more and more. So I did kind of appreciate that ending. It's not gonna all end happy. It's not a beautiful or nice ending for the family, just the new reality that they have to live in. I think that's a fitting end to the story, mostly a story about PTSD that, you know, everyone's affected in the family. So having to live with this new reality of Sam will probably never be the same Sam again, but you can just try as best you can to understand where he's coming from and what he, is going through. So I don't know. I did like the ending to it as well. So I'm glad he also told Grace at the end what happened, and she was accepting of it. Yeah, so I did. I like that ending for the movie. So overall, I'm giving this a 8.4 on my scale. I would recommend this movie to everyone to go check out at least once. I thought this was very phenomenal acting, especially by Tobey Maguire. I thought that this is the best Tobey Maguire movie and acting I've seen by far. Just personally haven't watched a ton of his work, but I thought he really starred and shined in this movie. And also, this movie had a pretty good message, so I'm recommending it to everyone to watch. So now let's compare this movie amongst the other movies we've reviewed so far. So at an 8.4, Brothers lands at the number 10 movie so far to this point. We've reviewed 35 movies. So this ties with Snowpiercer on the scale. If I had to pick between this movie and Snowpiercer, I would pick this movie. I thought this was more of an emotional journey than Snowpiercer. Obviously, Snowpiercer had some other cool aspects, but I like what this movie brought to the table more than Snowpiercer slightly. Obviously, they're both an 8.4, so it's just slightly nitpicking there. So this is the best rated Jake Gyllenhaal movie we've reviewed so far, beating out Nightcrawler, 8.3, only 0.1 below it, and also Brokeback Mountain, only 0.2 below it at 8.2. So this is also the best war movie we've reviewed so far, beating out Hacksaw Ridge, 300, Last Samurai, and Good Morning Vietnam. So enough with the Dubcast graphic. Now let's dive into my thoughts and reactions throughout the film. So starting this movie off, we had Sam. We obviously meet him. He's got a good family. Natalie Portman, aka his wife, aka Grace, two young girls, and we meet Tommy. Obviously, Tommy's story at the beginning is more the interesting of the two, especially before Sam goes off to war. So Tommy is getting out of jail for robbing a bank, and I don't know if that's ever really. Obviously, he has his story explained throughout on how he needs to like apologize to the woman that was there when he robbed the bank, but obviously he's also kind of a drinker. Maybe just I think he was mostly in his brother's shadow from what it sounds like, and that can take a toll on people. I mean, I think that's a thing in younger siblings, so maybe that's the reason why. I'm just guessing based off what we saw in the movie, nothing factual, because I'm not particularly certain that there was even an explanation for why he robbed the bank. But so he's out of jail for robbing a bank. Obviously, he's going to try and reconcile with his brother. Seemingly, they have a pretty good relationship with each other, so they have a nice family dinner. But it becomes awkward super fast when Tommy questions Sam's deployment, and the dad goes after Tommy for being in prison. This relationship between the father of Sam and Tommy is a massive part of this movie as well. It seemingly, at least appears to me, that Tommy was kind of neglected, and Sam was like the perfect kid, obviously the first kid, and him being so good at everything also kind of just negated his father's love for Sam or for Tommy, kind of left him on the bottom looking up. So I could see how that could really get in the way of things. But right away there's intensity here, and being as though Sam is like in the military, has a nice family, has a wife, has kids, and Tommy's kind of just like a, not to say low life, but he's robbing banks and he's in jail. I think his father's just upset that he couldn't turn out the same way that Sam did. So that hostility will continue for a long time in this movie before they have a resolution there. So a bunch of other stuff happens. Sam is going to end up obviously deploying once again to Afghanistan, and he's flying a helicopter. It's hit and goes down, And yeah, this was pretty. I was like, whoa, because I didn't know that this was going to happen so fast in the movie. The clip I saw was one of the clips at the end of um, Sam asking Tommy, like, did you fuck her? So that was what drew me to the movie. But um, yeah, I did not know that this would happen that fast. So this did kind of ruin at least this part of the movie for me, where it was supposed to be kind of a surprise that he's still alive because I knew that he was going to have that scene later on. But yeah, obviously helicopter's hit goes down. I don't know how he survived that. It seemed like they were pretty far up, but Grace is visited by two officers who seemingly inform her that Sam is AWOL. She keeps calling him on the phone. Nope, she's calling other people. She thinks he's dead. So those officers must have told her that he is dead. We don't really see them tell her specifically what happened. And then Tommy comes back to the house late at night to drop off the car, and Grace tells him the news, and he is very unfairly pissed off at Grace for letting Sam go back to Afghanistan. Like, what is she gonna do? I mean, when someone has it set in their mind like that, there's nothing you can do. Um, and she tried early on in the movie. She was like, "Do you really want to go? I don't know if it's the best decision." I'm sure that happens in a lot of military families, but ultimately, the people who go off to war make the ultimate sacrifice. I mean, I have the utmost respect for the troops and everything. So Sam, if he needed to go, he felt the calling. I don't know. There's nothing you really can do. Obviously, Tommy's just going through the first reactions of everything happening with that, so, or him thinking Sam's dead. So he's kind of just, that's his way of grieving, is just blaming other people. I get it. Just wanted to note that. So we'll keep it moving. We have obviously all the funeral arrangements for Sam back at home because everyone thinks that he is dead. So the dad is once again having hostility with Tommy. I thought he was just handling this pretty poorly at every turn, antagonizing him as much as he could. So this relationship continues to be very strained and also just tense. And I didn't like it at all. Obviously, you're not supposed to like it, but this, I mean, for the dad, like, this is your only kid left. You got to try and rebuild what you can with him. You just saw your son just passed away unexpectedly, or at least you thought he passed away unexpectedly. Like, might as well try and rebuild this relationship with your son. But maybe he's just resenting him because he gets to live and Sam um, does not. So I thought maybe that was an aspect of it too. But obviously, this relationship will continue to have its turns as we go through the movie. So we cut to Sam. He's actually alive and he's being held captive by the Afghan army. And this just begins a terrible storyline. Not terrible, and like, it is a terrible storyline because it's bad writing. It's just a terrible storyline to watch play out, but obviously a necessary one to understand under, to understand the full scope of the story. So back home in the U.S., Tommy doesn't have enough money to pay a bar tab, so he calls Grace to come and pay the bar tab. This is what I was mentioning before. We see Tommy kind of have these outings in the bar, and he's obviously very drunk in this scene. And why would you ever go to a bar if you can't pay the tab? You just expect someone else to pay for you. I mean, I thought this was kind of a weak by Tommy dragging Grace out there at 4 a.m. She has to bring the girls in the car. And then once Grace is paying and trying to settle the situation and let it go, Tommy's once again antagonizing the bartender, obviously very drunk at this moment, but it's like, dude, she's coming here to save you and now you're just antagonizing the bartender still. Come on, man. So wasn't the biggest Tommy fan early on in the movie. I thought he was kind of, obviously maybe with the little bit of, dare I say, daddy issues that could be affecting him, but I didn't like his energy at the beginning. But luckily for everyone, he does have a turn. So we have Grace's birthday is coming up, and it's the morning, and the girls make Grace pancakes, which is actually so sweet. That actually made me smile. That was a very well thought out move by them. I was happy to see that they were doing something nice for their mom. So Tommy is in the house still, hungover from last night, being drunk. He continues to be a shitbag. At least the dad comes and is being more chill now, but Tommy is just like being a menace, waking up being hungover and like being mean to the girls and knocking things around, whatever. It's like, they let you stay over. Can you at least be respectful? But I don't know. So back to Sam's storyline. He's been held captive for at least 2 months now. He's it's not just him who survived the crash. There's also a private with him, and this private is not handling it as well as Sam is. He's starting to go a little insane. So they execute. The Afghan army decides to execute a man in front of both the private and Sam, in front of him and his little cousin. I forget what the guy did to get executed, but obviously the Afghan army is trying to show off in front of Sam and the private, make it seem like, you know, this is not something to be fucked with. Obviously, it was not something to be fucked with because we see what happens later on. But this was, I don't know. I don't like this stuff, the war stuff. I mean, the Afghan army stuff. But it all makes sense once you realize what happens with Sam at the end of the movie. So Grace is emotional back at home, having to give up some of Sam's clothes to the painter slash renovators. Tommy has had new painters and renovators come over to make a new kitchen because the father kept complaining about the kitchen, and then Tommy's like, I'll come over with some guys and fix it. Paint spills, and she has to go get some of Sam's stuff to give to them, and this starts the grieving process once again because you see the clothes and you understand, or you think of Sam and how he's gone now, and I could completely understand how that could get right back to you and make you really emotional. So I did feel super bad for Grace in the scene. Tommy's able to comfort her a little bit though, and yeah, I mean, the grieving process never really ends. You always think about the people you lose and how sad it is. So definitely a sad moment to watch Grace go through. Kind of reminded me. No, I'm not gonna say that. But so as time goes on, Tommy becomes more and more involved with the family. He helps throw the birthday party for Grace. He goes ice skating with the kids. He ends up going and apologizing to the woman of the bank that he robbed, obviously scaring her with the gun, and they make up and have a nice deep conversation. So he's smoking weed with Grace. Everything's kind of better now. They're hanging out, and this is where they kiss for a little bit. Grace pulls back a little bit, but she was into it for a couple of seconds. I will note that she now needs some air, and then Tommy starts crying, obviously feeling bad that he's with Grace at this point and like kissing her and stuff. That's got to make you feel pretty guilty. I mean, your brother's supposedly dead to you, and of all the girls in the world, you're kissing his ex-wife. Not the move. I mean, I he was high, and like, I don't know if even that was the reason why, but it's like, obviously they felt some sort of special connection, but I just wish they didn't actually kiss, and even if everything else played out the same way in the movie, but I don't know. Them kissing, I understand it, but it was just a little bit upsetting to watch, to be honest. But it happens, or it happened. So we'll keep moving on. So the Afghan army with Sam is making them record videos. Sam refuses to do it, but the private with them does do it. And now that they send that video out, it's like, this is Afghanistan, we shouldn't be here, blah, blah, blah. That's kind of the message of the video. They want Sam to now kill the private because the private has no value to them. He already filmed his video, so what's the use in feeding him and giving him water and everything if he's not going to do anything else besides the video that they already sent out? And there's a million people around Sam, all with guns, and pointed at him and said, if you don't kill him, we're going to kill you. Which I'm surprised Sam actually makes it out of this encounter, not this specific encounter, but just this whole encounter alive. But yeah, obviously Sam is going to have to kill the private. This was the tough scene to watch, man. And it's so tough because he has to do it because there's a million people standing around with guns. Like, he'd be dead if he didn't do it. So it was just a really tough one to watch because he has to beat down his own partner, or not partner, but private, a guy that they've been through wars together, obviously serving together now. They've been in this Afghan captivity for a while. So this was the tough scene to watch where he's got to just hit him down, and he has a fury about him where obviously did not really want to do this at all, but because of the circumstance, he has to do it. So super sad, obviously, to watch that play out. So shortly after that, Sam is actually saved by fellow American soldiers, and in the saving of Sam in that sort of camp where they were at, the camcorder that filmed Sam beating the private down and killing him was burned. So that's at least good for Sam because there's not any evidence of that occurring. I don't know. Would he get like disbar? Would he get discharged from the army for doing that. Like, he had to do that. I guess that's probably like code number one in the army. I'm not too familiar with it, but I felt like, to me, if they watched the video and he explained it, like, it would make a lot of sense on why he had to kill his private. Like, he wouldn't just kill his private for no reason. I wonder if they actually sent that video out before. I'm guessing they didn't, because it doesn't really come out till the end of the movie again. But um, just I'm glad that the camcorder is burned, but so we don't have to cross that bridge. And I think it was good, so we'll just keep it moving. So they call Grace to let her know that Sam is still alive. And he lands home and meets back up with the family. Tommy is a little bit upset that Sam's still alive, and that was where I turned again a little bit on Tommy. It's like, dude, your brother's alive. He's with the family. Like, obviously, I understand it, because he thought he had this great family life that Sam had, but now that Sam's back, he's kind of out of the picture. We see it, like, when Sam comes back to the airport, he walks through, and Tommy kind of lingers a moment, thinking about how sad he was, because now his relationship with Grace is strained. With the kids, will be a little bit different. So, we'll see what happens. Tommy, man. A lot of an emotional roller coaster with Tommy as well. You kind of don't like him at the beginning, then you're like, oh, he's kind of nice, and then you kind of don't like him at the end. But we'll talk about it. So we have Joe's wife comes over to the house with her son. Obviously, Joe is the private that Sam had to end up killing in Afghanistan. So she said she had a dream last night that she hated Sam for being alive, and she asked Sam what happened to him, and he doesn't really answer. She was like, did he die in combat? Did you see it happen? Etc., etc. And Sam does a good job, like, not really giving away that he had something to do, take part in, or that he took part in it. But it's sad, because we can see in his face just how much this is affecting him to have to answer this question right now to the wife of the person he killed. And yeah, unfortunately, Joe is dead, a loving father and husband, due to the Afghan army just making him kill him because they don't want to give him food and water, and he already filmed the message. So just a really sad storyline continues. So Sam decides, after a couple months or weeks being back, he wants to go back to Afghanistan. He can't be at home anymore. He gets upset about a joke from one of the girls. Now asks Grace what happened between her and Tommy when they're ice skating, because she sees Tommy and the girls have a nice connection, and she and Tommy also have a very special connection now. So she tells the truth, that they never did anything, they only kissed once, and he does not believe her. He thinks she's still fucking Tommy. This is obviously just the PTSD playing in, like paranoia and never being able to truly confirm what you think is right, and not believing people, especially being in Afghan captivity for months. It's like nothing you can do would be, like, nothing Grace could possibly do, in my opinion, would really let Sam know that nothing had really happened between her and Tommy. So Grace is put in a really tough spot where, her husband, she loves him so much, but he comes back from being in war and being in captivity, and then all of a sudden he's accusing her of things, and she's saying no, but he doesn't believe her. So it's like, how do you handle that? So I thought that was just a really tough moment for Grace, and she had a really tough tough way of things occurring, really, because of what happened with Tommy while Sam was gone. So we have the birthday party for one of the girls. I believe it's Isabel. I haven't mentioned the girl's name, because the girls' names is because they're kind of nice and whatever. They just do their own thing. They're not really super relevant to the story until now. So Tommy shows up now with the rumors flying about Grace and his relationship. Well, only the flying to Sam, the rumors, but he shows up with a new girl, a friend Tina, to the dismay of Isabel. She's upset that he brought a new woman to the table, which should clue in the next couple of scenes that occur. So she's upset. Isabel is also upset that she got nothing that she wanted for her birthday, and that Sam was in Afghanistan. The first part, it seems like they do pretty well as a family, so I'm not sure why she wasn't able to get what she wanted for her birthday. She seemed to get a couple gifts, I don't know, but maybe that's just like being an 11 or 10-year-old, whatever she is in the movie, and not being happy ever. Girls especially, no offense, but I don't know. She's that part I understand. Sam being in Afghanistan, I don't think she understands really what that means. and the ultimate sacrifice that he's making. Obviously, she's only 10 years old or something, so she's not really able to fully comprehend that ultimate sacrifice and what he's doing for the country and for everyone and his family and stuff like that. So I get her perspective on that because she's only a kid, so she doesn't really understand that. But obviously, it's upsetting because we see everything that Sam has had to go through, and now his kid is upset that she had to go, that he even had to go. It's tough. And then this scene happens after where this blows up the whole movie. Isabel is going on a rant, and I was pretty upset watching Isabel in this scene. To be honest, it's hard to be mad at like a 10-year-old girl in the movie, but having kind of the all-seeing eye and seeing all the perspectives play out throughout the movie, obviously us as the viewer, we understand where all the characters are coming from. Isabel doesn't know the half of it of what Sam's gone through, but what was she on? She says, "Couldn't you just stay dead?" Really? Really? That's what we're going with? Like, at least just tell him to leave. Couldn't you stay dead? That's evil, bro. I mean, kids can be out of pocket, but like, what are we? I was mad at this scene, to be honest. This is what I was saying before, that this was just felt unwarranted because goes to complete extremes. Couldn't you just stay dead? He's not at that, like, he was like, come lay with me in bed. Like, I mean, he didn't like one of the jokes that one of them said, but it's like, your jokes were shitty anyway. I mean, come on, man. I thought this part was a little underdeveloped. So she says, next, she says, Mommy and Uncle Tommy had sex all the time. How do you even know what sex is? You're 10 years old. I didn't even know it. I didn't know what sex was until I graduated middle school. She's 10. She's like, they had sex all the time. Does she listening to conversations? Like, do you even know what sex is? How would you know that? And then she says, my mom would rather sleep with Tommy than you. Also, you don't know anything about anything. It's like all this is dagger. She's like, of all the buttons she presses on Sam, and it's so sad because Sam obviously takes this so bad, no, so poorly. He doesn't take it poorly. It's just like he's already had these creeping suspicions about Tommy and Grace, and now it's seemingly being confirmed by his own daughter, who shouldn't even know about half this shit. She doesn't even know about half this shit. She's just saying stuff to push buttons because she didn't get a fucking doll for her birthday. Well, it's really like she wants Tommy because he's like the more chill caretaker. But this was under. I was so mad at her. She says, I don't like Dad and would rather have Uncle Tommy around than Dad. And then the other girl also agrees, the younger girl. What are we doing, bro? It's like real Dad's been here for years, and Tommy's only been here for a couple months. I get it's like kind of like, I don't know, like a grandma coming over and being more chill than your parents, but it's like this, like, I understand at least this last part of it, like I'd rather have him be around than you, but the sex stuff and I'd wish you were dead. I wish you stayed dead. So out of pocket, even especially for a young child. That's what got me that was like, wow. You know, poor Sam, dude. Poor fucking Sam. I felt so bad for Sam in this. And both of his daughters are saying it, and it's like the whole dinner table is just staring like, what the fuck just happened, man? So Sam plays it cool. They're gonna drive back because they're at the parents' house, Sam and Tommy's parents' house. So put the kids to bed, get back. They're sleepy, whatever. But this is when everything starts hitting a wall for Sam. He rages in the kitchen, rightfully so, in my opinion. After hearing all that, I mean, if you had a sneaking like, even being like normal, no PTSD, no Marines, like having to see the worst things in the world, especially for Sam, but like even being a normal person, we have a cheating like suspicion, and then that happens right in front of your eyes. Your own daughter saying that it happened. It's like you have no option but to believe it. So he's kind of just destroying the new kitchen, with Grace there observing everything happening. Tommy shows up to try and calm him down, which makes him go even more, um, makes him even more upset. Now he has a gun to Tommy's head. The cops come. Sam almost commits suicide. Obviously, this is the very intense ending that I was talking about. He says he's drowning and drops the gun. Luckily for us, I mean, I was kind of half expecting Sam to just pull the trigger and be done, man. I would have been really sad. So yeah, that's the ending to this movie mostly. What a climax, dude! And just so unfortunate the way things had to play out at the end. I don't know how else it would have played out though, with Sam always having that suspicion. Um, After this, Grace reads a letter that Sam originally wrote from her at the beginning, wrote to her at the beginning of the movie, in case he never made it back from Afghanistan, in case he was dead, and she had to read the letter. She kind of didn't want to read it, kind of like a Love Liza situation, because that person died, and that's the last thing they're ever going to say to you, when he wrote to her. But now that he's in the hospital and kind of has gone down a spiral, she does read the letter now. So at the end of the movie, she makes her way back. The letter was nice, obviously very loving, and he did love her and he cared a lot about her. That's why those emotions were drawn out of him, because he felt rage for his brother being with her and not having him fully in her heart, even though it was not really that much. But anyways, to end out the movie, she's going to go visit him at the Veterans Hospital. He gets an hour out to go hang out outside. So he admits to Grace what he did, that he killed Joe. And so now he's saying, "Can I live again?" And that's what's going to end the movie. And yeah, that's what it's all about, man. This PTSD movie. It's sad. It was a sad, emotional watch, and everything's thrown at you with the girls, and then you come back and he's breaking the kitchen, everything. It's super high climax. Kind of calms down a little bit. Everything chills out. He's been in, obviously, the veterinary, or not, I keep saying Veterans Hospital. So he's had time to reflect. He tells Grace, which I think is a good sign of trust moving forward. They kind of know where both heads are at, and she knows what happened in Afghanistan, what makes him think all these things now. Hopefully, he's able to believe her eventually about Tommy. But what a story. I really did enjoy this movie, just because it's a really well told tale of PTSD and just being in the Marines and having fuck shit happen to you. And, it's movies like these that make you realize what our troops do for us every day. And so thank you to all the military people out there, and thank you to all the military families. So what was your guys' thoughts on this movie? Did you like it as much as I did? Did you not like it that much? What were your takes? Did you give it higher or lower, or would you give it higher or lower than an 8.4 like I did? Let me know down below in the comments. And yeah, that'll wrap up Brothers. Like I said, a pretty good movie. Was very impressed with Tobey Maguire's performance in particular. So that'll wrap up Brothers. More content coming on the way. More movie reviews. Not sure what's next in the queue. Need to watch some new movies. Have the list still going, so we'll get some more movie reviews out. Besides that, Survivor, we got a 2-part finale coming up. We'll cover both weeks, this week and next week. NFL Stream will be back at some point, covering the Week 14 games and previewing the Week 15 games. Besides that, expect a college football bracket coming out next 2 weeks. That starts up, so we'll drop a bracket for that. May pull in some guests for that. And besides that, just movie reviews. Outer Banks Season 4, I can say that that's in the works too. I'll say I'm not that high on that. We'll see. But just more content on the way. So stay subscribed if you wanted to be informed. Hit the bell if you want to see when we drop content. But for real, appreciate you guys out there always viewing and always liking and commenting sometimes, and disliking, subscribing, viewing the video even. So thank you so much for everything. And as always, be easy.